Hello, class. It's good to see all of you again. And I know you're probably saying, well, he can't see me. Well, that's true, I can't see you, but I hope that you're all here. And as usual, you continue to enjoy the class. This is a different class, as you know, marketing management from a lot of conceptual based class. This is practicality. This is what happens every day in business. And individuals uh, who have some marketing knowledge becomes very valuable to their business organization. So today, this is week 6 that we are in, and we're going to spend some time to look at marketing channels, specifically in the areas of retail, wholesale, logistics, or supply chain management. And so what marketing channel means is from point of origin to point of consumption. And as you know, we live in a global business environment, and a lot of the products that we use on a regular basis does not originate in our local market. It comes from countries across the world. And so some of the things that are important there is transportation system. And what you have noticed, if you have been spending a lot of time specifically in US, and you would notice that the Panama Canal was expanded to accommodate bigger ships. You would notice that they're building larger ships, almost twice the size of what it used to be. You would notice that containers used to be in two sizes, which is 40 foot and 20 foot. Now they're building 60 feet containers. You would notice that right here, the port of Miami, right, they had to dig it 50 feet deeper in order to accommodate larger ships. So that is part of the logistics of moving goods and service. Well, service comes over the internet, but moving physical products, goods, from point of origin to point of consumption, bring the products where the consumer is. And so that is known as your distribution channel. And there are intermediaries in this distribution channel that has to participate in this product movement from point of origin. It's not just sufficient to manufacture. We can manufacture, but if it stays in a warehouse, then it's going to rot. It's going to go bad, and that's a massive waste. But all these things are manufactured for a group of people like you and I who are known as consumers. We will consume or we will use the product. Okay. So what is the definition of marketing channels? The definition of a marketing channel is interdependent organizations of group of people participating in the process of making goods and service available to local markets or to you and I, the consumer. So here's an example. What happened if every time you needed a pair of Nike shoe, you had to fly over to where it's being manufactured, whether it's China, or whether it's Vietnam, or whether it's some other country, to get yourself a pair of Nike shoe? That would have been very costly. Yes, you may get a pair of Nike shoe for $10, where your plane ticket and your hotel costs and your meals, would be quite expensive. But in spite of that, the market continues to expand. So what does market channel do? Market channel is going to get that Nike shoe to a store close to you, or you can order it online, and instead of paying $20, obviously you're going to pay $95. So where is all those additional costs? Is it in profit? Obviously no. It's in the intermediary that makes up this channel of distribution. So in some ways, yes, the product is more expensive than its point of origin if it's going to be sold in that local market, or if you buy directly from the factory. But on the other side of the coin, it's cheaper than if you and I had to fly over there and pay hotel fees and pay for meals and pay for transportation services. Would have been quite expensive. So marketing channels, the unfortunate part of all of this, everyone who is in that channel, that's their business, and therefore they are in business for a profit, and therefore there's markup. And the unfortunate part, you and I have to pay for everybody's profit. And so whether it's transportation, whether it's air, whether it's sea, whether it's rail, whether it's truck, or whether it's insurance coverage, or whether it's packaging, we are all paying for those individuals. Okay. So what you would notice is that most producers these days do not sell their own products. They use intermediary. And two very prominent intermediary within the distribution system happens to be wholesalers and retailers. Now we are seeing less wholesalers and a whole lot more retailing. So let's look at some of these functions, because these are functions that are quite important in order to create something that is known as, and we're going to discuss it a little bit later, it's known as time utility, place utility, and possession utility. There are four utilities in marketing, and some folks may probably go to five or six, but there are four major utility. One is form utility, the creation of goods and services ready to be used. But then, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, if you're not able to buy it at your local store, then the farm utility doesn't mean anything. So what does this intermediary create? They create time utility. What does time utility mean? The word utility means usability or the function of efficiency through which you can obtain these products. So time utility means that you can get the product at a time that you want the product, at the time of your choosing to purchase the product. You don't have to buy in a warehouse or store, because that's another cost. If you're going to warehouse or store, you need additional space in your house. Then we have place utility. Place utility is the opportunity to buy the product from where you want to buy the product or how you want to buy the product, whether you want to go to a physical store, you want to go to the mall, you want to order it online, or if you still want to order from catalogs, there are still some companies, but very small amount of companies that are doing catalog now, and that's place utility. Of course, possession utility is a facilitation of changing from the ownership of the supplier to your ownership, where you now are the legitimate owner of that product to use its economic value and so forth. So intermediaries provide time, place, and possession utility, which are very important functions, but obviously this is not a world that functions without money. So everything has a cost, and you and I pay for those costs and so forth. Okay. Three very important components of this intermediary function. Number one, wholesalers. Wholesalers are defined as individuals who buy in very, very large quantities. And so what's the value of quantity? The value of quantity is the opportunity to negotiate. They can negotiate better price. They can negotiate better terms of payment. They can negotiate better cost in transportation system, and they probably own their own warehousing, or they can negotiate warehouse price and so forth. These are all ways to keep the cost down and probably help their profit margin, and also bring these products to retailer at competitive pricing. So wholesalers do not sell directly to the final users of product. You and I are the final users, meaning to say we are consumers. Here's where the product stops. Here's where the product will be utilized. Here's where the product will go out of its original existence, and replacement products are needed. Now, some retailers sells directly, wholesalers sell directly to retailers. These are smaller retailers that you would see in your local market. They buy in small quantities, and they buy directly from wholesalers, and wholesalers may sell to many small retailers. But then you have retailers who bypass wholesalers because they're very large, and they will perform the function of the wholesaler by purchase in large quantity, and they will do the negotiation with the manufacturer. They will do the negotiation with the insurance company in order to get a lower insurance price. They will do the negotiation with the transportation company, whether air or sea freight, in order to get better price. Again, the purpose of all of this is to help their profit margin and also to bring product at a competitive price. But these functions are non-negotiable functions, meaning to say you can't negotiate these functions away. These functions will still be there. And of course, you have the physical movements of these products. These are the tangible products we spoke about, which are goods. And from an international perspective, the majority of these products will come by sea freight, because sea freight moves in large quantities and the cost is less. But of course, you will have certain products that are moved by air freights, and so you have FedEx, and you have companies like UPS or Deutsche Post. For some of you are familiar with Deutsche Post out of Europe. They move packages also in small quantities and large quantities, and so forth. So these are all added costs to the product. But your most usable are for air, sea, rail, and also land, truck by trucking and so forth. So those are your most uh, um, common intermediary or transportation system. Now, where does the supply chain actually falls in this whole system of value? As you can see, we pay for value. Value does not come freely to us. They make up what is known as the supply chain. And so a lot of times you will hear supply chain management, and there are certain universities that are offering degrees in supply chain management. As the world becomes more globalized from an economic perspective and more products are moving from country to country, supply chain management is very important. Why is it important? It's important to understand routes through which these products move, the transportation system to utilize, because what happened with intermediary, they do not add quality to the product. They just add the utility functions of convenience. So once your product is manufactured, that quality is not enhanced. The quality stays the same. You will get the same outcome using it here or any part of the country as opposed to using it directly from its point of origin. So these added costs are part of that supply chain, and the higher it goes, it's the worse it becomes to sell products because you and I only have so much money to work with. So therefore, it's quite important that we have the functions of supply chain management in order to create efficiency within the system, take costs out of the system, able to bring affordable pricing to you and I, and yet at the same time afford your intermediary the opportunity to make reasonable profit, because that is their business. Meaning to say, whether it's trucking or whether it's rail, that's their business, and that's where they make their money. So what is this supply chain network? It's a combination of all the things that we just mentioned. You have the producer who makes the product. You have the transportation system who moves the product. You have the insurance company who insures against loss or damage. And then you have the inland freight movements of products. You have the warehousing of products. You have also the wholesaler purchasing of the products. And then you have the retailers that we will discuss a little bit later, who actually connects to you and I to sell in smaller quantities. That is known as your value chain network. And so you and I may say, okay, it costs money. Yes, it costs money, and it costs more than buying it from the original stores and so forth. But the point of the matter is the value comes from the fact that your day and my day are not disruptive. We can still continue to do what we need to do and still have time utility, place utility, in order to give us the facilitation of possession utility of our products. Unfortunately, it costs money, but that is known as the value chain network. So let's look at strategies that are utilizing these systems. Okay, manufacturers, sometimes we do have a lot of manufacturers of consumer goods right here in U.S. And so some of them that you're familiar with are, Procter & Gamble is the largest in the world that manufactures consumer or consumption-based products, packaged goods products. And of course, in Europe, you have Nestle organization, and then you have a heck of a lot more domestically. They do not have retail stores. I don't think any one of you can probably say that you have went into a Procter & Gamble store and buy your breakfast cereal or buy your Tide detergent. Why? Because they do not have retail stores. Who do they work with? They work with major retailers who I mentioned to you, because of their size, they function both as a wholesaler to negotiate large quantities, have warehousing capabilities of products, and some of them own their own trucking system so they can move merchandise at lower cost. But these are retailers who connects directly to you and I. And so these companies, these major manufacturers or producers of products sell to these retailers. Now, how do they make money? They make money at the price point of difference between their cost to market and what that retailer will buy the product for. That's where their profit margin comes in. So if they want to make more money, how are they going to make more money? They can raise the price, and if they raise the price, then they may probably price themselves out of the market. And pricing themselves out of the market doesn't mean that's good business. It means that they are going to go bankrupt. Or they can move business in large volume. Volume is a way through which a lot of these packaged goods company makes more money because they already have the factory. And it's just a matter of running that factory, probably another shift, or run it overtime, or run it 7/24, 365 days a year. But if they don't have an outlet to sell the products, then quite obviously all of that productivity means nothing. So what will these producers use? They use something that is known as the push strategy and the pull strategy. So what is the push strategy? The push strategy is working directly with their retailers through which they obtain their revenue and obtain their profit to buy more products. So let's say, for instance, Publix supermarket, or let's say Walmart, and let's say I am Procter & Gamble, and Walmart buys 50, let's say they buy 50,000 boxes of Tide every week. If I'm Procter & Gamble, I would want them to buy 100,000 box every week, right? So that's pushing these guys to buy more. The question is, why would they buy more if the marketplace can only absorb 50,000? So what the wholesalers will, what the producers will do, they will use something that is known as the pull strategy. The pull strategy is to pull consumer a little bit more frequent to buy a little bit larger quantity of the same products into the store. So these companies are going to negotiate, said, okay, instead of buying 50,000, I want you to buy 75,000, but I'm going to run some ads out into the marketplace. I'm going to offer coupons to the consumer, and the coupons are going to be coming directly through your store where they can get 50 cents off or $1 off, so they can buy more products. And obviously, if you have any remaining products that you didn't sell within a specific period of time, they might be willing to take it back. So there's economic benefit to everybody. Economic benefit to the producer, economic benefit to the retailer, economic benefit to the consumer, because he or she is getting products at a little bit less. So that's how these two very important strategies are utilized within the consumer package industry between producers, retailers, and consumer. Push is pushing the retailer to take larger quantities. Pull is bringing consumers into those retail stores to buy a little bit more frequent or even buy larger quantities of products. The push and pull strategy are not indefinite. They are time-based, meaning to say they're seasonality-based, or they are there for a certain period of time. And I think some of you will probably know that there are times when Pepsi is on sales and Coca-Cola price is not on sale, and there are times when Coca-Cola is on sale and Pepsi is not on sale at different store. What they're utilizing, the push and pull strategy. Now, the question that you may ask is, well, Pepsi is a competitor to Coca-Cola. Are they participating in market fixing now? The answer is no. The answer is where the retailer comes in. The retailer may come in and say, okay, this week I'm going to take Coca-Cola product because they have it on sale, and therefore I will not take your product on sale this week because it's not going to help me in any way. It just neutralizes this whole selling to the point where none of us benefit. So it's the retailer who will finally make those decisions. Okay. So what is the main role of marketing channels, and what is the main role of your wholesalers? And the main role of these things is to make merchandise available at places and time of convenience to unite the consumer, and also at reasonably good price points. Because you and I only make so much money, and if these products are out of our price range, we will not buy those products. We will look for substitute products, and so forth. So there's always the option of substitute products. The other thing about it, if the management component of supply chain is not very knowledgeable and actively utilized in managing this whole supply chain, then the cost factor can go out of acceptance, and their profit margin will be smaller, and at the same time that there's no incentive. So if you have business where profit margin is below what is known as reasonable profit, what is the incentive to continue to participate in that business? There's actually none. So for their own economic benefit, it's quite important that they're actively involved in working to manage this whole system, to take cost out of it, and also at the same time to ensure that inflation is not going out of acceptance to wages that is there. Of course, we know the Federal Reserve is involved there, but also at the same time, producers and intermediaries who participates in the supply chain, they have to also stay very active in terms of making sure that these things are well managed. So what are you hearing quite frequently from all these lectures? Is two very important words, is the word strategy and is the word management. Can things happen successfully without having a strategic plan and without not having very active and knowledge-based management? The answer is no, not in today's world. Probably way back historically when there were not so much competition in the marketplace, yes, whatever suppliers charge, we have to pay, or we do without it. But it's not so. It's not the same system in today's business world. There's a whole lot more competition. The challenge is much bigger, and that's where your knowledge comes in. What you are getting should not be viewed as just a degree. You should understand the knowledge that you're getting, because the knowledge is a very important input into the supply chain management. Without knowledge, supply chain will not have the strategy needed in order to function successfully, to know how to bring efficiency into the system, how to take costs out of the system, how to understand negotiation within the system, how to able to work with maintaining those utility functions, product which is formed to make sure we have reasonable good quality, time, place, and possession utility. And so it takes a lot of knowledge, and these are knowledge that continuously need to be updated on a regular basis. So what does this knowledge mean? It means that folks who have the knowledge are very valuable to business organization, because they are considered to be economic value in taking costs out of the system, improving the efficiency out of the system, within the system, and able to make sure that there's a continuous demand in the marketplace because prices are affordable. So how are these decisions made? Okay, decisions are made, number one, company have to analyze. Can I have less intermediary, or do we need to work with all these intermediaries? Now, there are certain companies, in order to be competitive in the marketplace, they are going with more of their own self-managed function as part of that supply chain management and less of intermediary involvement. So let's look at two companies that you guys know that are mass merchandiser in the United States. One is Walmart. Walmart do not use intermediary. They negotiate directly with the supplier. Price of products, quantity of products, terms of payment. They also have their own transportation system. They own their own trucks. They own their own warehouses. And these are all systems involved to keep costs down. Obviously, they don't own their own ships and they don't own their own planes, so they do pay for those things. The other side of the coin, we have a company like Target. What Target do, Target takes title of products directly from the point of manufacturing, and they do their own negotiation with inland freights. They do not own their own trucks. They don't own rails, but they do their own negotiation in order to take costs out of the system. They provide their own security, and they're self-insured. These are all ways to help keep costs out of the system, to control costs, and also to compete in the business world so they can make some money. So these decisions are made by how many they want, what is the capacity of their own personal ability to perform, and who do they need to hire, what division do they need to create, how do they need to enhance their business, simply to protect their competitive position in the marketplace. Now, earlier we spoke about goods or products in various categories, such as luxury products and convenience-based products and shopping goods. Now, the selection of retail distributor is another point of view or function that producer have to take in consideration. And so your book speaks of three different distribution systems. One that is known as exclusive distribution, then selective distribution, and then intensive distribution. So let's look at automobiles, cars, specifically in the area of shopping goods. And again, by definition, infrequently purchased, but frequently used. They will use selective distribution. You can't go to any dealership and buy a Ford car or buy a Cadillac or buy a BMW. They have selective distributors that they work with. Why is that? Because there are certain services that needs to be provided, certain marketing training that needs to be provided, and certain identity and identification that needs to be ensured or involved, and certain price protection that needs to, price point protection that needs to be taken care of. So they would look at selective distribution. They will only do business with certain people who has the capacity, who has the means, who has the financial capability, who has the willingness to want to invest, who has the knowledge also to make those decisions. And so you will see selective distribution. Okay, you will also see selective distributions at some of your major retailers, such as Macy's and such as Home Depot. They will carry products, or certain brands of products that you will not find at other stores. Now, those stores also have what is known as their own brand. They're known as private label. You do have store brands, and then you do have private labels. Store brands are brands that are labeled with the name of the store, and private labels are brands that are manufactured to certain luxury standard products, but they're owned by the retailers, and those are products that retailers have to compete directly with those name brand products, but they want to control the pricing and they want to control the profit. Then you have exclusive distribution. Exclusive distribution is where a certain system, they're the only authorized distributor of certain brands and products. And of course, you would see that in, Louis Vuitton. Most of your luxury products or your premium luxury will have exclusive distribution. The reason for that, they don't want to have inline competition. Inline competition is when you have many different distributors within a small geography or a specific geography carrying the same products, and the only thing they have is now price points where they can probably discount $1 just to move merchandise. And so when you have luxury products or premium luxury, this is not a good approach. And so those companies will select what is known as exclusive. You are the only folks who will carry my product within the specific geography, and therefore we will not have any competing alternatives here to our product. That's a very strong relationship. It protects the brand, it protects the price point, and it protects consumer perception of the value of that product. And then you have what is known as intensive distribution. That's mass merchandising, where producers are looking for anyone who has the ability to sell products through storefronts, through malls, through their own little store or big store, self-standing stores, or online. And they will sell to any person regardless of the competitive makeup of the marketplace. So you would see these folks that will sell to Walgreens, and across the street from Walgreens there's a CVS, and they will sell to both of those guys. So you can go to Walgreens and buy a Pepsi. You can go to CVS and you can buy a Pepsi, and they're just across from each other. These are known as intensive distribution. What is important, these are high volume products, low price margin products. The manufacturer doesn't make a whole lot of money. The retailers do not make a whole lot of money. They're convenience-based products, but they're using volume in order to sell those products. So back again, three very important distribution systems based on part of the supply chain strategy would be, number one, we spoke about selective, we spoke about exclusive, and we spoke about intensive. And they are nothing more than just strategies of relationship building, selection of your intermediary, and management of your intermediary. Now I'm going to discuss two very growing channels. One is known as e-commerce, and the other is known as m-commerce. What is e-commerce? E-commerce is you can go online, you can buy anything from online, you can just with a click of a mouse, you can go to your laptop, you can go to your home computer, and you can buy online. That's e-commerce. What's m-commerce? M-commerce is mobility. You can now use your cell phone, right? And these are companies who are advertising and they're making products available. It is the same company that you can go that are involved in m-commerce, e-commerce, but now with M, it gives them a little bit more personalized access to you and I. So these are a personalization approach using your consumer electronics, your personal cell phone or smartphone, that they can make offers to you on a regular basis. These are known as your M channels. Okay. Then also you have what is known as your, a lot of times things doesn't go smoothly. You have conflicts. And conflict has a lot to do with how these channels are developed. You will see a little bit more, less conflict in exclusive distribution compared to, just mass distribution of products. You would see a little bit more or less conflict over there. And conflict is something that has to be managed because it's not to the benefit of anyone involved. And it can be conflict over inventory, it can be conflict over availability of merchandise, can be conflict over price points and all these kind of stuff. So those are all some of the point of consideration when we are looking at this channel. How do we set up this channel in order to bring value to the consumer market, in order to take costs out of the system, in order to make it efficient, in order to create a very smooth time, place, in order to provide possession utility. It is not just a simple, okay, let's this channel exists, let's connect to this channel. It's a lot of study and it's a lot of analysis before the decisions are made, because the ultimate goal is to increase revenue dollars, increase market share, and through both of those systems increase the profit margin to business organization. So back again, you would notice two very important components. It's the component of strategy, the component of management, which utilize a lot of analysis, utilize a lot of knowledge in order to ensure that business is successful today. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture today. I hope you have learned a little bit more, and I wish you all the best as you move forward, and I look forward to speak to you for the very last week, week 7. Take care, have a great week, and I will speak to you soon.